Okay, this video is a continuation to what I titled earlier, the Welcome to Unified Field. And the obstacle with, I think one of the obstacles when people look at the unified field as something that is remote from them, and so then we will look for signs and for the ability to be effective, or signs that we are effective on the unified field. And the most common place to start checking if you are effective is where you feel more comfortable, more confident, more attuned to yourself while you are expressing yourself, so you will have a certain instant response from the audience. You must have audience. Just a minute. Yeah. So what happened is people try to add things to express, present new ideas, higher conscience, higher perspective, new perspective, evolved perspectives, and even inventors that came and they had to sort the way and find the audience so they will have the reflection, response that they need for them to then proceed, because there is a need in one to work on something and then wrap it and then present it and then have a response, a feedback. And the feedback is missing, so the evolution is attempted to destruct it. The people who, those who are putting you in trouble because you said something, anything, especially if you said something that is unconventional, if you presented something new, so they will try to put you into trouble or retract you or disturb you, annoy you, or present you as stupid, anything that you are presenting new. So this is the overall ruling of those who rule the matrix. They have this pattern. Some people call it a logarithm when it comes to computers, to internet, because it applies. But eventually what happens is one that who is facing this size of resistance and shutting off, what they do is usually they complete the project, the part of the project that was possible for them to start up with. They wrap them, they release them, they don't get response that's necessary. They are calling them back or withdrawing from exposing more of it, because the further exposure needed a response. When the response didn't happen, so there is a withdrawal and there is a completion, discernment of that type of completion within oneself, but oneself is completed with no way to express it, so it's feeling confined in a box, feeling confined by others, and maybe protesting also for some time. But eventually the subject pushed and the evolution never stopped, and so new things are coming up. So this person or this group of individual friends, co-creators, even if they feel they work in a common field, the united field, and they have 10 similar invention happening all sides of the world, still the cabal captured those who they could and tied them down and prevented it from distribution, copied it and patented, patent. So it's illegal to try. Yeah, so the result of it is people developing in a circle, in an inner circle, and this brings them to the question of the awareness of the inner circle, because the inner circle is a life by itself. There is big insertion, attempt to insert metaphors, narratives and directives to the inner circle of this discussion within a person. Still, if the person doesn't repeat and his inner discussion is evolving, so then one would look at the repeat of the denial of the exposure of new ideas and new people. This repeat will create first the phenomena that the art of development stayed esoteric, and although it can evolve in this limited fashion more, it evolves, and another article is evolving, and another one. So you have people who kept evolving here. It seems, despite the lack of response, I think that there are millions, endless numbers of new development and ideas that have evolved within the individual without consent, without awareness, without response, without recognition. So, having that said, you can look at a person who have practiced high-end or evolutionary or solutions to problems within their own courts, and this practice have brought them to where the inner circle of or the inner spiral of evolution continues. So also then when the new denial, which every time it's evident that if you release something that is crossing the line and going beyond what is permitted, so then you will be cut immediately and you will feel it immediately. So this experience of negotiating with this power, with this mental power, is becoming more to the front and at some point people start to ask themselves how could they reach the unified field if it is being denied by all the technology and all the means of transmit that are available, the technical means. Yeah, so this is the key element that I want to present here is idea of company, because you will feel better when you have the response, so that you can start from somewhere that you get the response. So you will have somebody to talk with, even if it's in your family or in your house, or somebody in the internet that you found lines that have relationship uh, response in some way or personal. So this comrades, or this relationship, or this community that is essential for uh, initiator, people who invent new things, This is depending on a circumstance, on an environment, on an intellectual or mental environment around them. It in sync with them, or it's receptive of what they do. So then the sense of response will be there to some extent. But then for many people, it is almost impossible for them to find a point where they can be in company and evolve at the same time. They'll have to somehow find a way to direct the field of consciousness, a field of attention, that they focus on this, which is their field of development, area of development, of the points of development. To be concentrated is perhaps personally, is perhaps the most I call it outstanding achievement when it comes on behalf of the developer. Yeah, I think that it not needed to be said twice, but the idea here is that being able to follow your own development by means of self-response, close, near response, enough response, and to come to a situation where you can develop regardless of the circumstances, that you are able to scan the circumstances and discern the circumstances to a point where you can still be functioning in the most specific way that you chose as a developer. And then the daring and the courage in the organization to bring it forward and present this again to the unified field, unified field, because this time I think I'm talking on the behalf of the unified field, on behalf of those who are working on, consciously working, and worse, to be working with this sense, with this idea, with this conocimiento, acknowledgement that it is so be it. Thank you. I'm Yosan Pedro. Thank you. Nice to have met you.